The candles were almost gone when Kelvin Obadiah finally walked through the door. 3 hours late. Amora had been waiting since 6 o'clock, her hands shaking every time she heard a car pass by outside. She'd spent the whole day cooking his favorite soup, the one his mother used to make. She even used her grandmother's special china plates, the ones they only brought out twice a year. Tonight was their 5th wedding anniversary. She wanted everything to be perfect. Her belly was huge now. 8 months pregnant. Moving around the kitchen had been hard, but she did it anyway. She wore the same dress from their wedding day. It barely fit anymore, tight around her stomach, but she hoped he would remember. Remember when things were good between them. The door opened and he stumbled in. Drunk. She could smell it from across the room. And there was something else. Lipstick. Red lipstick on his white collar. Kelvin, I made dinner. Your favorite. He looked at her like she was a stranger. Like she was trash on the street. Move, he said, pushing past her. The dining table was so beautiful. She'd put flowers in the center. Real ones, not plastic. She'd spent money they didn't really have on those flowers. Baby, it's our anniversary. I thought we could. He threw something at her. Papers. They hit her chest and fell to the floor. Read them, he said. His voice was cold. Dead. Her hands were shaking as she picked up the papers. DNA test results. She read the words twice, 3 times, trying to understand. The baby isn't mine, he said. You've been sleeping around. The room started spinning. What? Kelvin, no. You're the only man I've ever been with. You know that. You're my first. My only. Liar. He said it so calm. Like he was telling her the weather. This is wrong. It has to be wrong. We can do another test. A real one. Please. I already know the truth, he said. You trapped me with this pregnancy. But I'm not stupid. I had you followed. Followed? Kelvin, I don't even leave the house except to go to church in the market. Who would I? The door opened again. A woman walked in. Tall. Beautiful. Wearing a dress that cost more than everything in Amora's closet combined. She was holding a key. A key to their house. Darling, is she still here? The woman said. She was looking at Kelvin, not Amora. Like Amora wasn't even there. I thought you said you'd have the trash removed by now. Amora felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. Who is this? This is Bianca, Kelvin said. He was actually smiling now. My fiancée. Fiancée? But I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child. Bianca laughed. It was a terrible sound. Sharp and cruel. Oh honey, you really don't know, do you? She put her hand on her own stomach. I'm 4 months pregnant. With his baby. A real baby. Not whatever mistake you're carrying. Amora grabbed the edge of the table. Her legs felt weak. Kelvin, tell me this isn't real. Tell me this is some kind of sick joke. He walked toward her. For a second, she thought maybe he would hug her. Tell her it was all a misunderstanding. But instead, he grabbed her arm. His fingers dug into her skin. Get your things and get out of my house. Your house? We bought this together. I worked 2 jobs to help pay for. My house, he said again, louder. Everything here is mine. The furniture. The dishes. Even that cheap dress you're wearing. I paid for all of it. But where will I go? It's going to rain. I'm 8 months pregnant. Kelvin, please. That's not my problem anymore. He started dragging her toward the door. She tried to grab onto the wall, onto anything, but he was too strong. She saw her mother's picture hanging by the door. The only thing she had left of her mama. She reached for it. Kelvin ripped it off the wall and threw it. The glass broke. Her mother's smiling face landed in pieces on the floor. No. Please, not that. He opened the door. The rain had started. Heavy drops hitting the ground like bullets. Thunder rolled across the sky. If I see you here tomorrow morning, I'm calling the police, he said. I'll tell them you tried to break into my house. That you attacked Bianca. I didn't do anything. Who do you think they'll believe? A successful businessman or a crazy pregnant woman with no family and no money? He pushed her outside. She fell onto the wet ground. Her hands hit the concrete. Pain shot through her belly. Behind her, She heard Bianca laughing. Through the window, she could see them. Drinking champagne. Celebrating. Amora tried to stand up, but something was wrong. Really wrong. Water. Not rainwater. Something else. Running down her legs. Warm. Her water had broken. She screamed, but the thunder was louder. All around her, neighbors' lights were on. People were looking through their windows. But nobody came outside. Nobody helped. They all just closed their curtains. She looked back at the door one more time. Through the window, Kelvin and Bianca were kissing. In her wedding dress. In her house. On her anniversary. The pain came again, stronger this time. She couldn't stand anymore. She started crawling. Away from the house. Away from the life she thought she had. Into the storm. Every house Amora passed had their doors locked. Their lights off. Nobody wanted to see a pregnant woman crawling through the rain in the middle of the night. In Lagos, people learned to mind their business. Looking away was easier than getting involved. The pain was coming faster now. She could barely breathe. Her dress was soaked, sticking to her skin. She couldn't tell anymore what was rain and what was blood. She reached a bus stop and collapsed against the wall. At least here, there was a little roof. Not much, but something. She wrapped her arms around her belly. "Please," she whispered to the baby. "Please hold on. Just a little longer. Mama's going to find help. I promise." But where? Who would help her now? Her parents were dead. Her friends, the few she'd had, disappeared when Kelvin Obadiah's money came. He'd made sure of that. Told her they were jealous. That they didn't want to see her happy. She'd believed him. A car drove past. Fast. Water from the street splashed onto her. She tried to wave, to call out, but the car was already gone. Then another, but nobody stopped. She was going to die here. Her and her baby both. On a dirty bus stop bench in the rain. Alone. Just like Kelvin said. Worthless. Nothing. Another pain hit. This one made her scream. Something was really wrong. She could feel it. The baby was coming. Too early. She needed a hospital. But she had no phone. No money. No way to get there. Help, she tried to call out. But her voice was too weak. The rain was too loud. Somebody please help me. Then she saw headlights. Coming slower this time. A big car. Black. Expensive looking. The car slowed down. Then stopped. Right in front of her. Amora's heart beat faster, but not from hope. From fear. What if they wanted to hurt her or rob her? The back door opened. A man got out. He had an umbrella. He was wearing a suit. She could see it was expensive. The kind of suit Kelvin used to wear to his big meetings. "Are you hurt?" the man asked. He came closer, holding the umbrella over both of them. Amora couldn't answer. Another pain hit. She doubled over, crying out. The man moved fast. He caught her before she fell completely. "When did your water break?" "I don't know. Maybe 20 minutes ago or more." "How far along are you?" 8 months. "It's too early. The baby's not ready. Please, I need a hospital, but I don't have." "Don't worry about that," he said. His voice was calm. "My name is Daniel. What's yours?" "Amora." She could barely say it. The pain was everywhere now. "Okay, Amora. I'm going to help you to my car. Can you walk?" She tried to stand. Her legs gave out. Daniel caught her again and carried her to the car and put her gently in the back seat. "Hospital," he said to the driver. "The fast way. Call ahead. Tell them we need an emergency room ready." The driver pulled out into traffic. Fast but smooth. Amora closed her eyes. The pain was constant now. She felt something warm cover her. A jacket. Daniel's jacket. He'd taken it off and put it over her. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. It made no sense. Nobody helped for free. Kelvin taught her that. Everyone wanted something. "Because you need help," he said simply. "You don't even know me." "I know enough. I know you're fighting. That's all that matters." "How much longer?" Daniel asked the driver. 10 minutes, sir." "Make it 5. Amora looked at him through the pain. His face was kind. Worried. Like he actually cared. When was the last time someone looked at her like that? When was the last time anyone cared? The hospital lights appeared ahead. Bright. Almost blinding after all the darkness. The car pulled up to the emergency entrance. Doctors and nurses were already outside waiting. Daniel must have really called ahead. They put her on a bed with wheels. Started rolling her inside fast. Too fast. Everything was spinning. Daniel was running beside her. She could hear him talking to the doctors, but the words were getting fuzzy now. "Sir, you need to wait here," a nurse said. "I'm not leaving her alone," Daniel said. His voice was firm. "Are you family?" He paused for just a second. "Yes." The nurse nodded and let him through. Amora's vision was getting dark around the edges. The last thing she saw before everything went black was Daniel's face. He was still holding her hand. "I'm here," he said. "I'm not going anywhere." Then the darkness took her completely. While Amora fought for her life in the operating room, Kelvin Obadiah was throwing a party. The music was loud. The champagne was expensive. The house was full of people, Lagos society people. The kind who wore designer clothes and talked about money like it was nothing. Bianca was at the center of it all, laughing and drinking. "Everyone, I have an announcement," Kelvin called out. The music stopped. All eyes turned to him. He loved this. The attention. The power. "Bianca and I are engaged." The crowd cheered. Glasses raised high. Someone popped another bottle of champagne. The sound was like a gunshot in the quiet that followed. "But wait," someone said. It was Mr. Bayo, an old business partner. "What about your wife? Amora? I just saw her last month at the church fundraiser." The room went quiet. Everyone was watching now, waiting to see what he would say. Kelvin didn't miss a beat. He put his arm around Bianca and smiled. "Amora and I are separated," he said smoothly. "Have been for months. She's been unstable. The pregnancy hormones, you know how it is. She became obsessed, controlling. I tried to help her, but she refused treatment." Lies. Every word was a lie. But he said it so confidently that people nodded. They believed him. Or maybe they just wanted to believe him. It was easier that way. "In fact," he continued, "I had to get a restraining order. She threatened Bianca. Threatened our baby." He put his hand on Bianca's stomach. "I'm just grateful we're safe now." More nods. More sympathy. Someone started the music again. The party continued. Within minutes, they'd forgotten all about Amora. She was yesterday's news. Bianca was the future. "You're so good at that," Bianca whispered in his ear later. They were alone in the kitchen, away from the guests. "At what?" "Lying. Making people believe whatever you want them to believe." He laughed and pulled her close. "It's not lying, baby. It's strategy. In business, in life, you control the story or the story controls you." "And what's our story?" she asked, running her finger down his chest. "We're the perfect couple. Young, successful, in love. Building an empire together." He kissed her neck. "Your father's construction contracts plus my architectural firm. We're going to own this city." "What about Daniel Lawson?" she asked. "He's still the biggest player in Lagos. Your biggest competition." Kelvin's smile faded, just for a second. Then it was back. "Daniel's time is running out. He's too soft. Too emotional. Still crying over his dead wife and kid. That's why he'll never stay on top. You can't build an empire with a broken heart." "And us? We're not broken. We're smart," he said. "We know what we want and we take it. No guilt. No looking back." His phone buzzed. A message from his private investigator. The one he kept on retainer for situations like this. The message was short. "Found her. Private hospital in Victoria Island. Baby delivered. Girl. Critical condition. Mother stable." He deleted the message immediately. Bianca was looking at him, curious. "Everything okay?" "Perfect," he said, slipping the phone back into his pocket. "Everything's perfect." Upstairs, in what used to be Amora's bedroom, he'd already removed all traces of her. Her clothes were in trash bags in the garage. Her pictures were taken down. Her makeup, her shoes, her books. All of it. Gone. Bianca's things were already in the closet. her perfume on the dresser, her silk robe on the bed. It was like Amora had never existed at all. Downstairs, the party went on until 3 in the morning. When the last guest finally left, Kelvin stood on his balcony looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Amora was probably crying, broken, wishing she'd never crossed him. Good. He wanted her to suffer. Wanted her to know what it felt like to lose everything. Just like her father had. Just like Daniel would, eventually. He took out his phone and looked at the message again before deleting it permanently. A baby girl. Critical condition. He felt nothing. Not guilt nor sadness. That child wasn't his problem anymore. None of it was. He'd moved on. And in his mind, Amora should too. If she survived. 21 days. That's how long baby Peace fought in the hospital. 21 days of machines breathing for her. Of tubes and wires and monitors that beeped all night long. 21 days of Amora Paul sitting in a chair beside the incubator, afraid to sleep, afraid to leave, afraid that if she looked away for even 1 second, her daughter would disappear. Daniel stayed too. Not in the room, but close. In the waiting area. Sometimes in the hallway outside the NICU, talking quietly on his phone, handling business he should have been handling in person but couldn't, because he'd made a promise. He'd promised to stay. And he kept his promises. She's getting stronger, the doctor said on day 18. Her lungs are developing. If she keeps improving like this, we might be able to take her off the ventilator soon. Amora cried when she heard that. Real tears. You hear that, baby girl? She whispered to the tiny form in the incubator. You're going to make it. You're going to be okay. But hospitals cost money. Lots of money. Every day, every machine, every doctor visit. The bills were piling up. Amora knew she couldn't pay them. She had nothing. Don't worry about the money, he said every time she tried to bring it up. Just focus on getting better. Both of you. But I can't repay you. I don't have. I'm not asking you to repay me. Then why? Why are you doing all this for strangers? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, You're not strangers. Not anymore. On day 21, they took Peace off the ventilator. She breathed on her own. The doctor said she could go home in a few days if she kept improving. Home. The word felt strange to Amora. She didn't have a home anymore. That's when Daniel made his offer. I have a house in Lekki, he said. They were in the cafeteria. He'd brought her tea and some bread. She hadn't eaten all day. It's big. Too big for one person. There's a guest wing. You and Peace can stay there. For as long as you need. I can't accept that. Why not? Because I don't know you. Because this is too much. I understand, he said gently. After what you've been through, I'd be afraid too. But I'm not him, Amora. I'm not Kelvin Obadiah. The name hit her like cold water. She hadn't said it out loud in 3 weeks. Hadn't let herself think about him. How do you know his name? Daniel looked uncomfortable. I saw it on your medical forms. Your emergency contact. Before you crossed it out. Come see the house first, Daniel said. If you don't feel safe, you can say no. I'll help you find somewhere else. A shelter, an apartment, whatever you need. But at least come see it. 3 days later, they left the hospital. Baby Peace was wrapped in a pink blanket that one of the nurses had bought. She was so tiny. The drive to Lekki took 40 minutes. The house was at the end of a quiet street, behind a tall gate that opened automatically. The compound was huge. Gardens everywhere. A fountain in front. The kind of place Amora used to dream about when she was poor and in love and thought Kelvin's promises were real. But something felt off the moment she walked inside. The house was beautiful, expensive furniture, marble floors, huge windows with views of the garden. But it was quiet. Too quiet. Like nobody really lived here. The guest wing is this way, Daniel said, leading her down a long hallway. But Amora had stopped walking. She was looking at the walls. There were no pictures. No photographs. Nothing personal at all. Just expensive art that could have come from any hotel. Daniel, how long have you lived here? 8 years. Alone? He stopped walking. Yes. The whole time? Yes. There was something he wasn't saying. Something heavy inside those 3 letters. An older woman appeared from the kitchen with a warm smile. "Oh, Mr. Daniel, you brought guests. Mama Ada, this is Amora. And this is Peace." He said the baby's name carefully, softly, like it mattered. "They'll be staying in the East guest room." Mama Ada's face changed when she saw the baby. Her eyes filled with tears. She covered her mouth with her hand. "Mama, what's wrong?" Daniel asked. "Nothing, nothing," she said quickly, wiping her eyes. It's been so long since I heard a baby cry in this house. That's all." She reached out and touched Peace's tiny hand. The baby grabbed her finger, held on tight. 8 years, Mama Ada whispered. 8 years of silence. Amora looked at Daniel. At the sadness he tried to hide. At the house that was too big and too quiet for one person. "You had a family," she said softly. He didn't answer. Just turned and walked toward the stairs. "Your room is this way." But Amora had already seen the truth. In Mama Ada's tears. In the empty picture frames. In the way Daniel's hands trembled when he looked at Peace. This wasn't just a house. It was a tomb. And they were all ghosts here. Trying to figure out how to live again. Amora had been living in Daniel's house for 2 weeks when she found the newspaper. She was just looking for a book to read. Baby Peace was sleeping, and the silence in the big house made her nervous. She needed something to do with her hands, something to quiet her mind. The library was on the 2nd floor. Shelves from floor to ceiling, full of books that looked like nobody had touched them in years. She ran her finger along the spines, reading titles, when a newspaper fell out from between 2 books. It was old. The paper was yellow and brittle. The date at the top said 5 years ago. The headline made her hands shake. "Rising architect Kelvin Obadiah wins major contract." There was a photo. Kelvin at a construction site, wearing a hard hat, shaking hands with some government official. He looked younger. That look he used to have before the money changed him. She kept reading. Obadiah credits his success to his mentor, the late Chief Paul, who gave him his first opportunity in the industry. Amora's heart stopped. Chief Paul. Her father. Her hands were shaking so badly now she could barely hold the paper. She read it again. And again. The words didn't change. Kelvin knew her father. Had worked with him. Called him his mentor. But that was impossible. When she met Kelvin, he was nobody. Just a struggling architecture student with big dreams and empty pockets. He never mentioned knowing her father. Never mentioned working in construction before. She heard footsteps behind her. Daniel stood in the doorway, watching her. His face went pale when he saw what she was holding. "You knew my father," she said. "You knew him." He didn't deny it. Just stood there, looking guilty. "How long?" she asked. "How long have you known who I am?" "Since the hospital. I saw your name on the admission forms. Your full name. Amora Paul." The room was spinning. She sat down hard in the nearest chair. "You've known this whole time. You brought me here, let me stay in your house, and you never said anything. I wanted to tell you. I tried. But you were so broken, and I didn't know how. How did you know my father?" Daniel walked into the room slowly. "He was my first investor. 10 years ago, when I was just starting out, nobody would give me a chance. Nobody except Chief Paul. He believed in me when no one else did." "And Kelvin?" His jaw tightened. "He was your father's employee first. Before me. Your father gave him everything. Trained him, trusted him, treated him like a son. What happened? He stole from your father. Millions. Fake companies, fake invoices. By the time we discovered what he was doing, your father's business was destroyed." Amora felt sick. "My father died of a heart attack. The doctors said it was stress from the business failing." "It wasn't the business failing," Daniel said quietly. "It was the betrayal. Finding out that someone he loved like family had been stealing from him for years. It killed him, Amora." She thought about her father's last months. How sad he'd been. How he'd stopped eating, stopped sleeping. She thought it was just business problems. She never knew. "Why didn't you tell the police? Why didn't you stop him?" "Your father wouldn't let me. He was ashamed. He thought people would say he was weak, that he'd been fooled. He made me promise to stay quiet. To let it go." "So you just let Kelvin get away with it? Let him build his business on my father's money?" I never stopped investigating, he said. I've been collecting evidence for years. Bank records, witness statements, everything. I was waiting for the right time. The right time for what? To destroy him. The way he destroyed your father. Amora stood up. Her legs felt weak, but she needed to move. Needed to think. You should have told me. From the beginning. I know. I'm sorry. She walked past him, toward the door. She needed air. Needed space. She left the library without another word. Left him standing there with his apologies and his guilt. In her room, she locked the door and sat on the floor, holding baby Peace close. The baby slept peacefully, unaware that her world had just shifted again. Everything was connected. Her father. Daniel. Kelvin. This wasn't random kindness. This was guilt. Daniel wasn't helping her out of goodness. He was trying to fix a mistake he'd made 20 years ago. She was still just a charity case. Just someone's unfinished business. The thought made her want to cry, but she had no tears left. Kelvin's construction business was falling apart. 3 months after throwing Amora Paul out, his biggest client pulled their contract. Then another. Projects he'd counted on disappeared. Money that should have been coming in just stopped. Bianca was pregnant and angry. The wedding she wanted cost 30 million naira. She wanted it in Dubai. Wanted a dress from Paris. Wanted everything she'd seen on Instagram. But the money wasn't there anymore. What do you mean you can't afford it? She screamed at him one night. They were in the bedroom. The one that used to be his and Amora's. You're supposed to be rich. I am rich, Kelvin Obadiah said, but even he could hear the lie in his own voice. It's just temporary. Cash flow problems. Every business has them. Then get a loan. Sell something. I don't care. But I'm not having some cheap wedding in Lagos like a regular person. She threw a pillow at him and locked herself in the bathroom. He sat on the bed, head in his hands. The truth was worse than cash flow problems. Someone was sabotaging him. Clients were getting calls, anonymous tips about his past projects. About the building that collapsed. About the workers who died. About the shortcuts he took. Someone knew his secrets. And they were using them to destroy him. He had a good idea who. The next morning, he drove to Lekki. To Daniel Lawson's estate. The security guard at the gate didn't want to let him in, but he insisted. Tell him Kelvin Obadiah is here. Tell him it's about Amora. 5 minutes later, the gate opened. The house was even bigger than his. The garden was perfect. Everything about it screamed money. Real money. Not the borrowed, leveraged, barely holding on kind Kelvin had. He walked up the driveway, rehearsing his speech. He needed to be calm. Reasonable. Remorseful, even. Whatever it took. Then he saw her. Amora. In the garden. Wearing a simple dress, holding a baby. His baby. She looked different. Thinner. Older. But alive. Very much alive. His heart jumped. She saw him too. The bottle in her hand fell. Her face went white. Daniel appeared from inside the house. He walked straight to Amora and stood between her and Kelvin. Protective. Possessive. Mr. Obadiah, he said, his voice ice. You weren't invited. I came to see my wife, Kelvin said. He was smiling now. That charming smile that used to work on everyone. Amora, baby, I'm so glad you're okay. I've been looking everywhere for you. Liar, Amora said. You threw me out. You said I was worthless. I was drunk. I didn't mean any of it. Bianca, she drugged me, manipulated me. I found out the truth. The DNA test was fake, Amora. The baby is mine. Our daughter. He stepped forward. Daniel stepped with him, blocking him. She's not your daughter, Daniel said. You gave up that right when you threw them into the street. I have legal rights. We're still married. That's my child. Actually, Daniel said, pulling a paper from his pocket, you're not married. Turns out you already had a wife. In Abuja. You never divorced her. Which means your marriage to Amora was never legal. Kelvin's smile froze. How did he know about that? That marriage was supposed to be buried. Hidden. Nobody was supposed to find out. So you have no rights, Daniel continued. No claim. Nothing. And if you come near Amora or Baby Peace again, I'll have you arrested for harassment. This isn't over, Kelvin said. He was looking at Amora now. You think you're safe here? You think he actually cares about you? He's using you to get to me. Can't you see that? Leave, Amora said. Now. I'll give you 48 hours, he said. 48 hours to come home. Bring the baby. Or I'm going to the press. I'll tell them everything. How you abandoned your child. How you're living here like his mistress. How Daniel Lawson preys on vulnerable women. He turned and walked back to his car. But before he got in, he looked back at the house. Security cameras. He counted 6 on the outside. There would be more inside. And knowing Daniel, they were all recording. Good. Let them record. Let them watch. This wasn't about winning anymore. If he was going down, he was taking everyone with him. Especially Daniel Lawson. As he drove away, he made a call. It's me, he said when someone answered. I need those listening devices we talked about. The professional ones. Money's not an issue. If he couldn't destroy them legally, he'd do it the way he did everything else. By cheating. By lying. By finding their secrets and using them as weapons. He'd burned Amora Paul's life to the ground once. He could do it again. And this time, he'd take Daniel down with her. After some weeks, at midnight, the alarm went off. Amora jumped out of bed, heart racing. Peace started crying. Downstairs, she could hear shouting. Security guards running. Something was very wrong. She grabbed the baby and opened her door. Daniel was already in the hallway, still in his clothes. He hadn't been sleeping either. Stay here, he said. Lock the door. Don't come out until I tell you. But before he could go downstairs, they heard a woman's voice. Crying. Begging. Please. He'll kill me if he finds me here. Please let me in. Amora knew that voice. She followed Daniel down the stairs, her whole body shaking. There, in the entrance hall, held by 2 security guards, was Bianca. She looked terrible. Her face was bruised. One eye was swollen shut. Her expensive clothes were torn. And her belly, round with pregnancy, had a dark bruise across it. Let her go, Daniel said. The guards released her and she fell to her knees, crying. I'm sorry, she kept saying. I'm so sorry. I didn't know where else to go. Amora wanted to hate her. This was the woman who took her husband. Who laughed while she was thrown into the rain. But looking at her now, broken and bleeding, all she felt was pity. What happened? Daniel asked. Kelvin Obadiah, Bianca said through tears. He pushed me. Down the stairs. Because dinner wasn't ready on time. She lifted her shirt. Bruises everywhere. This wasn't the first time. How long has he been hurting you? Amora asked quietly. Weeks. He said I trapped him. That I was just like you. That all women are the same. Liars and traps. She looked up at Amora with her one good eye. I'm sorry. For everything. He told me you were crazy. That you were trying to steal his money. That you got pregnant on purpose to trap him. I believed him. God help me, I believed every word. Why are you here? Daniel asked, sounding more cautious than sympathetic. Bianca reached into her purse and pulled out a phone. Because I recorded him. Everything. All his secrets. All his plans. She handed the phone to Daniel. He pressed play. Kelvin's voice filled the room. Yes, I forged the DNA test. The baby is mine. But I need Lawson to think I abandoned them. He's predictable. He'll take her in. Then I'll sue for custody. Claim he's keeping my child from me. I'll destroy him in court and take his company. There was more. Much more. Kelvin talking about the building collapse. About the bribes and the workers who died. About Chief Paul. He killed him, Kelvin's voice said. Not with his hands, but with betrayal. The old man trusted me. Signed everything I put in front of him. By the time he figured it out, the company was empty. The heart attack was just his body giving up. Amora felt her knees buckle. Daniel caught her and helped her sit. There's more, Bianca said. Files. Documents. Bank records. Everything you need to put him in prison for the rest of his life. Why? Daniel asked. Why are you doing this? Bianca touched her belly, tears streaming. Because I'm having a son. And I don't want him growing up thinking this is what a man looks like. I don't want him to become his father. She looked at Amora again. He showed me your file. Pictures of you since you were 16. Your father's death certificate. Your mother's medical records. He's been planning this for 10 years. He didn't marry you because he loved you. He married you to destroy you. To finish what he started with your father. The room spun. Everything Amora believed about her life was a lie. Who am I? She whispered. If nothing in my life was real, who am I? You're a survivor, Daniel said. That's real. Your strength is real. Your daughter is real. Mama Ada brought ice for Bianca's face and tea for everyone. They sat in the living room as the sun began to rise. 3 broken people united by one man's cruelty. We need to take him down, Daniel said. All of us. Together. How? Amora asked. He has money. Lawyers. Friends in government. The Lagos Business Awards, Bianca said. He's nominated. So are you, Daniel. It's in 2 weeks. Everyone who matters will be there. The governor. The press. Everyone. We expose him there, Daniel said. In front of everyone. No lawyers to protect him. No way to hide. It's risky, Bianca warned. He'll fight back. Let him, Amora said. Surprising even herself with her strength. I'm done being afraid. I'm done being the victim. He took everything from me. My father. My marriage. My trust. But he didn't take my voice. She stood up, holding baby Peace close. We do this. We end this. Once and for all. Daniel's lawyer arrived an hour later with news. The marriage certificate between Kelvin and Amora was fake. He'd been married to someone else the whole time. A woman in Abuja he never divorced. You were never legally his wife, the lawyer said. Which means he has no claim to baby Peace. None at all. For the first time in months, Amora smiled. A real smile. The chain she didn't know she was wearing had finally broken. But the war wasn't over. It was just beginning. Daniel took Amora to his office 3 days later. Not his home office. His real office. Downtown Lagos. But they didn't stop at his office. They went to the floor below. Through a door marked Lawson Foundation, Private. Inside was a conference room. And sitting around the table were 12 women. They all turned to look at Amora when she walked in. She felt suddenly shy. These women looked powerful. Confident. Like they belonged in this room with its expensive furniture and city views. Everyone, Daniel said. This is Amora. Amora, this is my board of directors. One woman stood up. She was maybe 40, wearing a business suit, her natural hair beautiful and full. But when she smiled, Amora saw the scar running from her ear to her jaw. My name is Funmi, she said. I run the legal department here. 8 years ago, my husband tried to kill me. Cut my face with a broken bottle. Told the police I did it to myself. She touched the scar like it was a badge of honor, not shame. Now I make sure men like him go to prison. We've put away 43 abusers in the last 5 years. Another woman stood. Younger. Maybe 25. I'm Lily. When I was 15, I was sold. Trafficked. Spent 3 years in hell before the foundation rescued me. Now I run our rescue operations. We've saved over 200 girls. One by one, they told their stories. Each one worse than the last. Each one ending with the same words, now I help others. Amora felt tears running down her face. These weren't victims. They were warriors. We've been watching your case, Funmi said. Kelvin Obadiah isn't new to us. We've had files on him for 3 years. She opened a folder. Inside were photos. Documents. Statements. 6 women have accused him of abuse. 2 are dead. Ruled accidents, but we know better. The others were paid off or threatened into silence. Why didn't you stop him? Amora asked. We tried. But he's smart. Covers his tracks. Has lawyers, money, friends in high places. We needed more evidence. A witness willing to testify publicly. Someone he couldn't silence. Funmi looked straight at her. We need you. Me? I'm nobody. I'm just. You're the daughter of Chief Paul, another woman said. Her name was Chiamaka, half her face scarred from acid. Your father helped many people. When Kelvin destroyed him, he destroyed hope for dozens of families. The Lagos Business Awards, Funmi said. It's the perfect stage. But it only works if you're willing to stand up there and tell your story. Amora looked at the women around the room, strong, scarred, rebuilt. What do you need me to do? Testify. Publicly. Tell everyone what he did to you. To your father. To your daughter. And then? Then we arrest him. In front of everyone. No lawyers. No bribes. No escape. Amora thought about her father. About peace. About all the women Kelvin had hurt, all the ones he would hurt if someone didn't stop him. I'll do it. The room erupted in applause. But Funmi raised her hand for silence. There's something you need to know, she said. This is dangerous. Kelvin will fight back. He might go after you. After your baby and after Daniel. Are you prepared for that? He already went after us, she said. He threw us into the street. He tried to kill us. We survived. We're still here. And we're done running. Good, Funmi said. Because we only have 2 weeks. And Kelvin is already planning something. Our sources say he's been asking about listening devices. Professional ones. Daniel's face hardened. He's going to bug the house. Probably already has, Funmi replied. We'll sweep tonight. But from now on, assume he's listening. We plan in code. We meet in secret. We trust no one outside this room. She looked around at her army of survivors. This is it. This is the fight we've been preparing for. We take him down, and we send a message to every abuser in Lagos. Your time is up. Later that night, security found 6 listening devices in Daniel's house. In the flowers Kelvin brought. In the living room. Even in Peace's nursery. He'd been listening for weeks. Knew everything they were planning. Or thought he did. What Kelvin didn't know was that Daniel had plans too. And he had been preparing far longer. The trap was set. The stage was ready. In 2 weeks, one of them would walk away victorious. And one of them would go to prison. The Federal Palace Hotel was packed. Every important person in Lagos was there. Politicians in expensive suits. Business owners dripping with gold. Society women in dresses that cost more than most people earned in a year. Kelvin arrived with Bianca on his arm. She wore heavy makeup to cover her bruises. Smiled for the cameras like nothing was wrong. She had agreed to play her part. One final performance. He felt good tonight. Powerful. Like the old days. He was nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year, and he believed he was going to win. Daniel arrived 20 minutes later. Alone. No Amora. Kelvin relaxed. Maybe she wasn't coming. Maybe she was afraid. Good. The ceremony started. Speeches. Awards. Kelvin barely listened. He was rehearsing his acceptance speech in his mind. How humble he would look. How gracious he would sound. Then the announcer said, Entrepreneur of the Year, Kelvin Obadai. He stood, straightened his jacket, and walked to the stage. The spotlight hit his face. This was his moment. Thank you, he said. This award means everything to me. I want to thank my beautiful wife Bianca, my team, my supporters. The lights went out. Darkness. Confusion. Murmurs spreading across the hall. Then the big screens behind him turned on, bright and sudden. A video started. Not of him. Not of his achievements. A woman's face. Blurred. Her voice steady. My name doesn't matter. Kelvin Obadai took that from me. But my story matters. She showed threatening messages. Violent ones. All from Kelvin's number. Another video. A woman with hospital records. Broken bones. Lies about falling. A third. The woman in the psychiatric hospital. I wasn't crazy when he locked me in a room for 3 days. Kelvin tried to run. Security blocked him. Then the final video appeared. Bianca. Her real face. Exposed bruises. No makeup to hide anything. I thought he loved me. But this is what his love looks like. The room went still. This is a setup. Kelvin shouted. Daniel Lawson planned this. But more evidence followed. Bank records. Bribes. Fraud. And then the audio. Kelvin's voice. The old man trusted me. Signed everything. By the time he realized, the company was empty. The heart attack? His body just gave up. Gasps filled the hall. Chief Paul had been respected. Then Amora walked onto the stage. Confident. Calm. Wearing a simple blue dress. My name is Amora Paul. Some of you knew my father, Chief Paul, the man Kelvin just bragged about destroying. The room was dead silent. He didn't marry me because he loved me. He married me to finish destroying my family. She showed an ultrasound picture. This is Peace. His daughter. The child he threw away. She showed the forged DNA test, then the real one. He threw me out while I was 8 months pregnant. Left me in the rain. My daughter fought for her life for 21 days. Her voice did not shake. But I survived. And tonight, he loses everything. The back doors opened. EFCC officers marched in. Kelvin Obadiah, you are under arrest. The charges rolled across the screen. Fraud. Embezzlement. Domestic violence. Manslaughter. Kelvin tried to run again. Officers grabbed him. He begged. Amora, please. Tell them it's a mistake. She stepped forward. You never loved me. You loved breaking me. But I'm still here. You lose. They dragged him away. The doors closed behind him. Silence. Then applause. Soft at first. Growing. Rising. Roaring. For Amora. For justice. For every woman who survived what Kelvin tried to destroy. 6 months later, the courtroom was packed. Kelvin Obadiah sat at the defendant's table in a blue prison uniform. Humiliating. His expensive lawyers tried every trick, every delay, every loophole, but Justice Ella shut them down each time. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Witness after witness. Evidence stacked so high the defense couldn't climb over it. Recordings. Bank statements. Testimonies from 6 women who finally felt safe enough to speak. The jury took 2 hours. Guilty. On every single charge. The judge's voice was calm but firm. 25 years. No possibility of parole. All assets seized and distributed to your victims. Kelvin's face turned white. 25 years. He'd be an old man when he got out, if he got out. They led him away. He looked back at Amora Paul, seated in the front row, holding little baby Peace. The baby was 6 months old now, healthy, beautiful, everything he tried to destroy. Amora didn't look away. She simply held her daughter and watched him disappear. Outside the courthouse, reporters flooded her. Cameras flashing. Microphones in her face. How do you feel? What's next for you? Are you and Daniel Lawson together? She ignored most questions, until one made her stop. What would you say to other women going through what you went through? She turned to the cameras. She thought of the women watching from fear, from hiding, from broken places. You are not worthless, she said. No matter what he tells you. Your worth isn't his to define. It comes from you. From your strength. From your choice to survive. She lifted Peace gently. Look at my daughter. He said she was nothing. That we were nothing. But we're still here. Still fighting. Still alive. And that's everything. The video went viral. Millions of views in 24 hours. Women across Nigeria, Africa, and the world shared their stories. Using her words like a lifeline. Like truth. Like freedom. 3 months later, the Peace Center opened. It wasn't just a shelter, it was a sanctuary. 5 buildings on 3 acres in Lagos. Rooms for 200 women and children. A school. A clinic. Legal support. Job training. The opening ceremony was huge. The governor came. The press. Survivors. Donors. Daniel cut the ribbon, then handed the scissors to Amora. This is yours, he said. Your courage. Your vision. Your legacy. She cut the ribbon as women poured through the gates, some with babies, some with children, some alone but no longer alone. That night, after everyone left, Amora and Daniel sat in the garden. Peace slept quietly in her carrier. For once, the Lagos sky was clear. Your father would be proud, Daniel said. I know. And she meant it. Daniel hesitated, nervous for the first time. He pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple, elegant ring. "I'm not asking you to be saved," he said. "You saved yourself. I'm asking you to build something with me. A real life. A real partnership. Will you marry me?" Amora looked at the ring. At Daniel. At peace, sleeping peacefully. She thought of the girl she used to be, the one who thought love meant shrinking. That girl was gone. This woman was whole. "Yes," she said. 1,000 times, yes. They married 6 months later. A simple ceremony at the center. Just friends, family, and survivors who'd become sisters. Peace was the flower girl, 1 year old and walking proudly. She scattered petals and everyone cried. 5 years later, Amora Lawson stood at the United Nations. Invited to speak on domestic violence and economic abuse. "My name is Amora Lawson," she began. "And I was once thrown away like garbage." She told her story. The betrayal. The storm. The hospital. The fight. But here I am. Not just surviving, thriving. The Peace Foundation has helped 12,000 women. We've opened centers in 15 cities. We've changed laws. Saved lives. She paused. Let it sink in. One man tried to destroy me. Instead, he created an army. Every woman he hurt, I help. Every child he endangered, I protect. Every dream he crushed, I rebuild. The room erupted in applause. Back in Lagos, Kelvin watched the speech on the small TV in his cell. Inmates demanded to watch the famous woman who put him away. He wanted to feel anger. But all he felt was empty. She had nothing, yet built an empire. He had everything, yet wasted it chasing revenge. She was never the weak one. He was. That night, Amora tucked Peace into bed. The 6-year-old now had twin siblings, wild, joyful, 2-year-old bundles of life. "Mama," Peace asked, "why is your name on my school?" Amora smiled. "Because something bad happened to Mama once, and she turned it into something good. So other children wouldn't have to be sad like Mama was." "Did it work?" "Yes, baby. It worked." Peace smiled, closed her eyes, safe and loved. Amora walked to the window. Somewhere out there, other women were choosing to fight. To leave. To live. And tomorrow, the Peace Foundation would be there to catch them. The storm had passed. The sun had risen. And Amora had kept her promise. To her father. To her daughter. To herself. She rose. And she lifted thousands with her. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, please like and give us a thumbs up. Share it with friends and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.